Well, hello everyone. This is Al Fadi, and I hope that you are enjoying watching our video series concerning many of these extant manuscripts that our Muslim friends lately have been basically bringing up to everyone's attention as if there is no dating problem when it comes to the earliest eyewitness accounts concerning Muhammad, his life, his biography, and so on and so forth. Today, we are going to turn our attention to the so-called the biography of Muhammad known as the Sira, and you be the judge when we are done with this analysis and critique to see if any of the dating for those extant manuscripts as well can give anyone comfort regarding the life of Muhammad and his biography. With us here in studio to discuss all of that is Dr. J. Smith. Welcome back, Dr. J. And I'm looking forward now to this discussion about the Sira.
Yeah, the Sira, the biography. This is the equivalent to what we have in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the black letter. Anytime it talks about what Jesus did, that would be the Sira of Jesus. Now we're going to what Muhammad did. This would be the Sira, what Muhammad did, his whole life. And of course, very important because whatever Muhammad did, Muslims are to do today. So that's why it's one of the most important genre. Now we're getting into the Islamic tradition. And this is the earliest of all the Islamic traditions. And we have always been told that the Sira of Muhammad comes from two sources, two different individuals, one named Ibn Hisham and the other named Al-Waqidi. Now, they would say a third one, Ibn Ishaq, but we pretty much thrown Ibn Ishaq down. And what was the criteria, or the reason why we threw Ibn Ishaq out?
Well, I mean, first of all, we don't have the whole thing anyway from him. And most of what he was recording was just, he heard this and he assumed certain things. So it wasn't really a comforting and a very reliable way of reporting. But most of it is lost.
And the reason, we don't even know if it's comfortable. We have no idea because we have not one jot, not one tittle. We have no definite writing by him. And that's why, if in doubt, throw it out. If you don't have anything, just attribution, it could be anything. You can attribute anything to anybody. That's right. Hearsay, that's called hearsay.
Right.
That's called oral tradition. And that's called Chinese whispers. So since we have nothing from Ibn Ishaq at all, we don't put him. We don't even include him. We go to Ibn Hisham because Ibn Hisham, from a few of the Ibn Ishaq students, and now remember, Ibn Ishaq died in 765. Ibn Hisham died in 833. We go to Ibn Hisham and we go to Al-Waqidi, but mostly Ibn Hisham because he gives the whole life of Muhammad, where Al-Waqidi just gives the battles of Muhammad, the Maghazi, the battle documents. So one of the difficulties is this, and let's now go to the slides. Because the question we're going to ask is, who really created the Sira? Now, there's the picture of the book that everybody uses, The Life of Muhammad. And notice it says that it is the translation of Ibn Ishaq's Sirat Rasulullah. They put Ibn Ishaq's name there. Who does? That's Alfred Guillaume. That's the author of this book in English. He's an Englishman who took what he considered to be Ibn Ishaq's material and then put it into English form so we can all use it around the world today. And now, I mean, I grew up on this, you grew up on this. Anybody that goes to school, this is the book you read. As soon as you open up the introduction to this book, he says very clearly that, well, okay, this is not really Ibn Ishaq's. This is written by Ibn Hisham. And so he explains it in the introduction. Most people don't want to read the introduction. So why did he put Ibn Ishaq's name on the cover? Because Muslims demand that he do so.
Right.
Because that puts it up 50 to 60 to 70 years earlier. And they see that there's a problem here. They don't want it to be 200 years later. They want it to be 130 years later. So that's why he basically is, I think it's the editors. I'm not even sure if it's Guillaume that was responsible for that. But did Ibn Hisham write that book? Ibn Hisham, did he really write that book? Now, we have 36 different biographies written down in the last few hundred years. This is just one. This is the most popular one. But who wrote this book, the standard work, which everyone uses today? Are you ready? You know the answer because we've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. This guy right here. This is the guy that actually wrote that book. His name is Heinrich Ferdinand Wustenfeld, who lived from 1808 to 1899, who between 1858 and 1860, that 2-year period there in Berlin, compiled this book, taken from libraries and museums in 6 mostly European cities: Fez, London, Oxford, Dublin, Paris, and London, and then translated into French and English and sanitized by Guillaume and others later on. So that's the book we read today, written by a German 160 years ago. Now, is that a problem for you?
Well, of course it's a serious problem. It's almost like the 1924 Cairo edition of the Quran.
Exactly. Now, there has been another one, a very popular one, put together in 1967 by Fuad Sezgin, compiled from another Sira from documents found in Morocco. So what's going on here? Well, as you can see from my conclusion, the man who Muslims are dependent on to know who their prophet is or what he did is an elderly German linguist who wrote Muhammad's story 160 years ago, thus over 1,000 years too late. Now, of course, the next question is, where did this guy get his material from? He's sitting there in Germany.
Yeah.
He must have gone somewhere because he was writing in the 1800s.
He probably went to libraries or somewhere.
Oh, I've already said so. If you look at the slide, it's already the answer is there.
Yeah.
But where and when are those manuscripts? What are the dates for those manuscripts? That's the million-dollar question. You ready? Let's go back to the slide. Let's go back to the slide and let's see what we have now found. So, to make this point even stronger and to explain what we're talking about, let's put the extant Sira compilations onto a timeline. I love timelines because this really nips it in the bud. So, we know Muhammad died in 632, so his date is there. And these are the 2 Siras that Muslims attribute to. So they would say 200 to 300 years, basically 200 years afterwards, okay? That's what they claim. However, we know that it was written by this guy here, Wustenfeld. From where did he get his manuscripts? He says so in the book. You can read it. He tells you very clearly. He gets it from this manuscript, which is the Fez manuscript that is dated to 1063. He also gets it from the OR 6475, which is, let me just go back, which is in the, and I'm just looking sideways here.
British Library.
British Library in London. He also goes to the MS Arab, which is in the Bodleian Library there in Oxford. And then he goes to the Chester Beatty Library in Dublin, Ireland. That is 1331. The other 2 are 1278 and 1324. And then he goes to the BNF Paris Library to get the 1420 manuscript, and the last one, and probably the most important one, is the MS 19320, which is at the SOAS Library in London. That is dated to 1589.
So all we can tell from these dates of his manuscripts, they're all attributions.
Every one of them are attributions. None of these are, I see they only begin to appear in the 11th century. That's the Fez manuscript. What's interesting, he only used 25% of the Fez manuscript. He really didn't want to use the other 70. Why did he not want to use the other 75? Well, he says so because he didn't think it was historically accurate. Well, how can he know if he's living in the 1800s, living in Germany? How would a German know what's accurate and what's not accurate? So basically, he picked and chose what he wanted to do. Basically, he did what the Muslims said that Ibn Hisham did with Ibn Ishaq. And what's fascinating is much of his material came from the SOAS Library, which is the latest one, the 1500. That's the 16th century. So from the 11th century up until the 16th century. So everything that he took came from the 11th to the 16th. He wrote it in the 19th century, which means we'll get rid of those in the beginning because they no longer are computable. And our conclusion is that though Western and Muslim scholars still believe that the Sira comes from 200 to 300 years old, which is bad enough, they have yet to be told, because we're the first to introduce this. This is the first time anybody has looked at this. No one has looked at this yet. I've not done this anywhere. You're the first to get it. This is the first time I put it on a graph so that people can see it. Everything that Wustenfeld used to create his biography comes from the 11th to the 16th century, though he writes it down and canonizes it in the 19th century. That's 400 to 1200 years too old. What's your reaction?
Well, I mean, it's very damaging, of course. If I'm Fareed, I'd rather just to throw these arguments out the window because it's an embarrassment, actually, for him to even assume somehow people are not going to take him up on his word and go and investigate. You see, the problem with people like, I'm going to use Fareed as an example, is that they are detached from reality today. Today, we're living in a social media world. Anyone can go and investigate things, watch arguments, and even have access these days to libraries online. They don't even have to go to Paris to look at it. They can probably go online. I've been going online to look at manuscripts all day long. I didn't travel to do that. So anyone can do these investigative, investigations, I should say, and discover whether his arguments are valid, solid, or not.
Yeah.
All we're doing right now is we're helping our audience basically collate everything for them in one location so that makes it easier for them.
Yeah. Dr. Pat Andrews has done us a great favor because he's the one that's actually researched every one of these. He's gone through and found out what the dates are. Listen, notice that of the 6 manuscripts that Woestenfeld went to, 5 of them are here in Europe. Only 1 is in North Africa. Fred Sesgen went to the one in North Africa, and that's what he did. He based his biography on. Only 25% of that did Woestenfeld trust, and that's why he doesn't use it. It'd be great. We need to look at Sesgen's manuscript and his biography, and we need to look at Woestenfeld's and see how much different they are.
I want to point something interesting here. Anytime you go to the Andalusia area, Morocco, which is in the far west of North Africa, you need to keep in mind the following. There is a connection with the Umayyad dynasty, because that's where the Umayyad dynasty remnant stayed. And remember, Abdul Malik is an Umayyad. So there is this connection still with Abdul Malik and the Umayyads concerning who is this Muhammad or Mahmud.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to do next, we're going to go to the Hadith. You think the Sira is bad? Wait till you get to the Hadith, especially Sahih Muslim and Sahih Bukhari. That's yet to come.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Until next episode, where we're going to pick it up by talking about the Hadith. Have a blessed day. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. And ring the bell so you will be notified when we release new content. Our mission is to reach Muslims with the gospel of Jesus Christ and help Christians engage with their Muslim neighbors. If you want to join us in this life-changing work, please support us on patreon.com/Sira International, or just click on the link below.